Yo, what's up, people? It's a boy fucking bargain. It's a boy fucking bargain. It's a boy. So, overview of Kenya Vision 2030 and its flagship programs and projects. So 1.1 Overview of Kenya Vision 2030. Let me increase the font so that I will be able to read to you what is written down below without misleading anyone. So the Kenya Vision 2030 the Kenya Vision 2030 aims to create a globally competitive and prosperous country with high quality of life by 2030 through three pillars: economic, moving up the economic value chain; social, investing in people; and political, growing as one nation. Underpinned by socio-economic enablers, foundations ranging from deeper economic infrastructure and human capital to better the use of science and technology for innovation and commitment of the human insecurity. Okay. I think I'll have to start again in order for you to understand better. Maybe I'll have to cut it in post-production So, Chapter 1, the overview of Kenya Vision 2030 and its flagship programs and projects. Overview of Kenya Vision 2030. The Kenya Vision 2030 aims to create a globally competitive and prosperous country with a quality of life by 2030 through three pillars: economic, moving up the economic value chain; social, investing in people; and political, growing as one nation. Underpinned by social economic enablers, foundations ranging from deeper economic infrastructure and human capital in better use of science, technology for innovation and commitment for the human security. Economic pillar aims to achieve and sustain an average. Let me kidogo. Like my mouse is not working that well, so naomba ruhusa nirudia kila wakati, but hope you are getting the point. The economic pillar aims to achieve and sustain an average economic growth rate of 10% per annum until the year 2030. I don't know ilikuwa hii ni mwaka gani iliandika 20. Nimesikia since I was young nikisikia about Vision 2030. I know most people don't understand Vision 2030 maanisha nini, but that is why I'm here as a Gen Z trying to educate another Gen Z people about Kenya and our history and our projects. Especially Vision 2030 ilikuwa ni yetu watu wa kuanzia 2000. So 8 priorities sectors were identified based on their potential to drive this growth through various economic development programs. These sectors are tourism, agriculture and livestock, trade, manufacturing, financial services, BPO, information technology, information technology, IT, enabled services, oil, gas, and mineral resources. So kuna zile zilipatikana Afrikana, lakini sitaki kuongelea hiyo. Acha tuendelee. And the blue economy. What is the blue economy? You have to research that. The blue economy. You have to research that. Blue economy. And the blue economy. Is it blue collar or white collar economy? So, social pillar seeks to achieve a just, cohesive and equitable society living in a clean and secure environment. This is to be realized through transformation in 6 key sectors, namely education, training, health, environment, water, sanitization, and regional development, population, urbanization, and housing, gender, youth, and vulnerable groups, and sports, culture, and arts. So, the political, kama mwelewi, just comment below. I'll have to go back and explain in detail. But kama mnaelewa, kama hautasema hujelewa, mimi I know mnaelewa. So stanza ku explain yaribia watu wengine time. Hata sasa hizi jim mbona na explain. The political pillar envisages a democratic political system that is issue-based, people-centered results. Okay. The political pillar envisages a democratic political system that is issue-based, people-centered, result-oriented, and accountable in democratic society that respects individual liberties, freedom of speech, association and worship, and the rule of law. The pillar also envisages a people-centered approach to governance. It also aims to move all Kenyans to the future of one nation. This will be achieved through implementation of the devolution, adherence to the rule of law, electoral and political reforms, democratic and republic service deliverance, transparency and accountability, security, peace building, and conflict management. The three pillars are anchored on the enablers foundations of the macroeconomic stability. Governance reforms, enhanced equity and wealth creation opportunities for the poor, infrastructure development, science, technology and innovation, information and communication technology, land reforms, labor and employment, security, peace building and conflict resolution, public sector reforms, national values and ethics and ending drought emergencies. In summary, the vision promises globally competitive quality education, training, and research for sustainable development, equitable equity and quality, and affordable health care of the highest standard. Water and sanitization available and access for all in a clean and secure and sustainable environment with adequate and decent housing, affordable housing. You know, later. I will explain at the end of it chenye kimeka kiendelea, chenye kimeka kikifanywa na chenye akidaka kikifanywa Kenya. So further, Kenya shall be free of HIV. Okay, skiza hii. Further, Kenya shall be free of HIV infection, stigma, and AIDS-related deaths, while acting towards a low carbon and climate-resilient environment supported by integrated and coordinated disaster risk management system. The vision is also aligned to the East African Community (EAC) Vision 2030, East African Union Agenda 2063, and okay. They know sasa Lumumba Subuya alikuwa anasema the African Union Agenda ya ilikuwa na 2063 wakati alikuwa anaongea about Ethiopia. You should go and look at that speech ya PLO Lumumba. Alipatiana Ethiopia. It's a very good speech. And the United Nations Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. The Kenya Vision 2030 is implemented in 5 years successful MTPs. I don't know what is an MTP. The first MTP covered the period 2008 to 2012, while the second covered from the period for 2013 to 2017. The third MTP covers from the period of 2019 to 2022. Is linked to the Big Four agenda, which is currently under implementation. Reporting on implementation of the MTPs is through MTPs. So acha nilikuwa nakwambia kuna hata mimi vitu sielewi. Sijongi kila kitu. I'm not a genius. Sijongi kila kitu. I'm just a guy who is very curious with what is going on. I'm not that smart. Kila mtu anaweza learn kitu. I'm just curious and information amtapata pale popote, so you have to learn this. Blue economy. Understand what is blue economy? Understand what is an MTP? Come back to me, comment down below in the comment section, and let's try to understand what our government is trying to do and what is the agenda between 2030 and 2063 with the and how it is set to help us as Kenyans. So, where are we? The Kenya Vision 2030 implemented in 5 years successful MTPs. The first MTP covered the period in Chasoma, so I get you understand up. The flag. Okay, so let's go. Reporting on the implementation of the MTPs is through the annual progress reports, midterm review, and end-term reviews. And the Kenya Vision 2030 flagship programs and project implementation progress reports that focuses mainly on flagship programs and programs. A total of 216 flagship programs and projects were identified for implementation during the MTP3 period. Ilifanyika from 2018 to 2022. Yenye iko linked with the Big Four, yenye ilikuwa inafanyika 2030. Ilikuwa linked to hadi 2030. If you really don't understand this, please comment down below. I will explain furthermore to those people who wako nyuma kidogo in this kind of matters. So So in Kenya Vision 2030 flagship programs and projects, progress reports covers the FY 2020 to 2021 and aims to present the status of implementation of the flagship programs and projects during the review period. The report thus represents the performance review and seeks information to the public and other stakeholders on the progress made towards the implementation of the vision goals and objectives. The reports contain information of the progress of the implementation of politics, programs and projects and implementation challenges encountered in innovative ways in addressing them. So lessons learned during the implementation and recommendation for the future implementation. Reviewing the performance is based on targets set during the development of the third MTP. So the report is based on submissions on the status of implementation of various flagship programs and the projects by the MDS. So the MDS, pia mtena mwangalie MDS, the MDS hata mtumie kachoni mnunue kitabu mpya. Sasa information nawapatianga natumianga vitabu mzee. The Vision 2030 delivers secretarial coordinates or the compilation and analysis of submissions from the MDS in consultation with the various state actors and is further subjected to stakeholder validation process to enhance ownership. So the organization of the report, alafu ni hapo tutamalizia. The organization of the report. This report is organized into seven chapters. The Vision 2030 is implemented into 7 chapters. One chapter represents an overview of the Kenyan Vision 2030 yenye mechanics soma saya in these flagship programs and projects and the methodology used to prepare the report. Chapter 2 focuses on the macroeconomic framework, while Chapter 3 covers on the discussion on the progress of the implementation of flagship programs and the projects under the foundations for the nation's transformation. Chapter 4 and 5 and 6 provide implementation status of flagship programs and projects under the economic, social, and political pillars, respectively. So that is it for the overview of Vision 2030, and its flagship programs and its entire projects. But najua tuko nyuma sana as Kenya in development and the way to approach. Najua shida nini? You think that changing the president will change vitu vya zinafanyika about the affordable housing. Affordable housing is not here Ruto alileta, lakini kitu ilikuwa implemented for development ilikuwa inafaa kufanyika. Any kind of president ataingia ataendelea with this project. Ni venye hao wengine wamekaa kidelay. By the end of it hakuna mtu mwenye atawahold accountable, especially sahi leaders wako hakuna mtu mwenye ako interested. Kwanza sema Gen Z, most of Gen Z sasa sio the future, ndio millennials wanaenda kuingia sasa their prime stage ya kurula, alafu ndio watatoka Gen Z wataingia. By the time Gen Z wanaingia, most of them won't even be hawataka wanajua like about this kind of projects, because kama itaisha 2030 then tunaingia wengine inaenda hadi 2063 itaenda hadi 2063. You see, if you think in short term, how do you understand the whole picture in our work? So you have to think in long term. Like unafaa kufikiria in decades. Like watafanya nini in 20 kwanza, okay, in 2050 2040 ni itakaa inaendelea. So development lazima itakaa inaendelea in Kenya na ishapangwa. No. So when wataingia, the leaders when wataingia hawakama hakuna vitu zao. Like hiyo wakati mtu anakuambia nitajenga mabarabara, nitajenga manyumba, nitajenga mashule, si leader atajenga. Like hiyo ni already shasetiwa huko. Like hizo ni campaign to, so watu magoyings hawa understand about his vitu. Ndio niwaambia like internal politics si politics, geopolitics ndio the real politics. Internal politics ni mtu tu anataka apatiwe kura. No, ni venye tu atadanganya watu apatiwe kura. Ni venye tu atajipresent. Kila kitu ishasetiwa. Any leader mwenye ataingia lazima ataendelea with the housing development. It is something which is there, it has to be accomplished within 2030. Kama sema mimi na support like mimi sina shida na Ruto ama anything else. I feel like if you really understand how these things work, hautakuwa unasumbuka na finance bill na uenda kudedi about finance bill, and that won't change anything. Kuna msemo mwenye akona manywele kubwa alijaribu ku explain kama mlikuwa mnataka ku change finance bill, the right way mdi approach. Jo kuna steps za ku approach kila kitu. Like the people who wenye walitengeneza hizi vitu na hizi rules hazikuanza sahihi. na hazitaisha saa hii na hazitengenezwi saa hii. Ni vitu ziko already zimetengenezwa, they are just being implemented as per the situation of the nation. Hope I'm making sense. Kama uradi anything, nitaweza ongea Kiswahili ama niongea polepole, just you have to comment down below on what you want me to talk on yenye kuelewa. Have a nice time. That is it for today. Peace out.